Nobody sat you down and taught you how relationships actually work. Not your parents. They were figuring it out as they went. Not school. It doesn't cover this, not the movies. Those were fiction dressed up as instruction. So you walked into the most important area of your life carrying a set of beliefs built entirely on stories that were never real to begin with. And then you wondered why it kept falling apart. At Gravity of Attraction, we believe most relationship pain isn't caused by bad people or bad luck. It's caused by bad information absorbed young and never corrected. What follows is the correction. By the time you finish this, you'll understand relationships more clearly than most people who've been in them for decades. Here's the most useful reframe you'll ever hear about relationships. You know how living with a roommate works. You share space. You divide responsibilities. You negotiate who handles what. You learn to tolerate each other's irritating habits. Some days, you genuinely enjoy their company. Other days, the dishes in the sink make you question all your choices. A romantic relationship is exactly that. With two additions, you kiss this roommate and you share your emotional interior with them. That's the complete list of differences. The roommate logic still applies in full. Communication still matters. Shared responsibility still matters. Financial transparency still matters. The intimacy doesn't override any of it. It layers on top the belief that destroys more relationships than anything else. If they really loved me, they would just know. This single assumption has ended more relationships than infidelity has. It's the expectation that love functions as telepathy. That genuine care should automatically translate into accurate mind reading. It doesn't. It can't. No amount of love grants someone access to needs you haven't expressed. Expecting your partner to know you're out of milk without being told isn't romantic. It's irrational. And applying that same logic to emotional needs, to what you require, what hurts you, what you're carrying, sets both people up to fail. Love is not knowing without being told. Love is listening when someone tells you. Love is remembering what they've shared, but they have to share it first. Nobody in this dynamic is psychic. The sooner that expectation gets released, the more functional everything becomes. Why people fight. Most relationship conflict is structurally identical to two children arguing over the last cookie. The surface issue is never the actual issue. You always choose your friends over me translates to, I want to feel like a priority, and right now, I don't. Adult arguments are largely unmet needs dressed in accusation. The difference between a 5-year-old and a functional adult is the capacity to identify the need underneath the reaction and communicate it directly instead of escalating until someone surrenders. The skill isn't suppressing the feeling. It's naming what's actually being asked for, what every relationship requires to survive. 3 things, non-negotiable: clear communication. Saying what you actually mean rather than encoding it and waiting for someone to decode it. I'm fine when you're not fine isn't communication. It's a test with no answer key. I need more physical affection. I feel dismissed when you're on your phone while I'm talking. I'm anxious about our finances and need to talk through it. Those are communication. Specific, direct, and actionable. Realistic expectations. Your partner is not your therapist, your entertainment source, your mood regulator, or your purpose generator. They are another human being carrying their own weight, navigating their own limitations, having their own bad days. Expecting one person to be the complete source of your happiness is a structural impossibility. It will break them and eventually break the relationship. 2 complete individuals. The most quietly destructive idea in modern relationships is the notion that love means merging, that the goal is to become one unit. It isn't. The goal is 2 whole people, each with their own friendships, their own interests, their own sense of direction, choosing to build something together. 2 people who arrive incomplete don't produce a healthy relationship. They produce codependency, which looks like love and functions like a trap. The truth about finding the one: there isn't one. There are likely thousands of people you could build a genuinely good relationship with, given mutual investment and effort. The mythology of a single destined person produces 2 equally damaging outcomes. Staying in relationships that have stopped working because you believe this person must be it. Or leaving relationships that could have been great because they don't feel perfect enough. Great relationships aren't discovered, They're constructed. Two people make a decision and then make it again daily through the unglamorous work of actually showing up. The uncomfortable truth about compatibility. Real compatibility isn't shared taste in music or finishing each other's sentences. It's compatible problems. Every person arrives with problems. Every relationship arrives with friction. The question was never whether someone is flawless. The question is whether their particular set of challenges is something you can genuinely live alongside. Leaving dishes out and forgetting anniversaries are manageable irritants. Screaming during disagreements and refusing all accountability are character patterns that will erode you over time. The distinction between annoying habits and fundamental incompatibilities is one of the most important assessments you'll ever make. And almost nobody is taught to make it. What healthy love actually feels like. Here's what most people don't expect. It's relatively calm. No sustained cycle of explosive fights followed by intense reconciliation. No constant uncertainty about where you stand. No emotional chaos rebranded as depth. Healthy love is two people who generally function well together, repair disagreements without collateral damage, and maintain consistent goodwill toward each other over time. It can feel underwhelming to someone accustomed to volatility. Drama gets mistaken for passion. Jealousy gets mistaken for devotion. Instability gets mistaken for intensity. But what those things actually produce is exhaustion, not connection. Stability isn't the absence of feeling. It's what feeling looks like when it's actually secure. The skills nobody teaches. We expect adults to navigate relationships competently without ever being taught the competencies involved. We wouldn't expect someone to drive without instruction. Relationships require the same logic. Conflict resolution, how to work through disagreement without causing permanent damage. Emotional regulation, managing your own internal state rather than exporting it onto your partner. Boundary setting, communicating limits clearly and holding them without guilt. Compromise. Finding solutions where both people's needs receive partial fulfillment. Self-awareness. Recognizing your own patterns before they run the relationship. These are learnable. None of them are innate. The gap between people who struggle in relationships and people who don't is largely a skills gap, not a love gap. The rule that changes everything. You cannot love someone into becoming who you need them to be. People change when they decide to change. Not when someone loves them hard enough or waits long enough. You cannot fix another person. You cannot heal them through proximity. Your job inside a relationship is to assess the actual person standing in front of you right now, not the projected version of who they might become with sufficient patience and investment. If your mental framework includes the phrase, "they would be perfect if only," you're not in love with a person. You're in love with potential, and potential isn't a partner. It's a story you're telling yourself what healthy relationships actually look like in practice. Not constant happiness, not frictionless harmony, not two people who never land on opposite sides of something. Two people who can surface a problem without it becoming a destruction event, who honor each other's individual lives and goals, who take responsibility for their own emotions rather than making those emotions the other person's burden, who show up with consistency, not just in the moments that feel easy. That's the whole picture. It's more achievable than it sounds and more valuable than anything the fairy tale version ever promised. The reset. Some combinations don't work, not because either person is inadequate, because the specific pairing doesn't function. Two genuinely good people can be genuinely wrong for each other. Recognizing that and ending things with honesty and care isn't failure. It's clarity. Forcing a structure that doesn't fit because you've decided it should, that's where the real damage happens. Here's where gravity of attraction lands on all of this. Stop looking for someone to complete you. Find someone who complements what's already whole. Stop expecting perfection. Start expecting consistency, honesty, and genuine effort. Stop trying to renovate people. Accept who they are right now, or make the honest decision to walk away. Stop placing your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. Arrive full, share from that fullness. Relationships are simple in structure and demanding in execution. They require communication, accurate expectations, self-awareness, and the honesty to recognize when something isn't working. The struggle most people experience isn't because love is inherently mysterious. It's because they were handed a fictional map and sent into real terrain. Once the map gets replaced with something accurate, everything becomes more navigable. You stop waiting for magic and start building something real with someone who's willing to build it alongside you. That's not a lesser version of the fairy tale. It's the only version that actually holds. Drop in the comments. What relationship belief did you carry the longest before you finally let it go? Your answer might be the thing someone else needs to read today. Follow gravity of attraction. This is what we do here.